Hey, we're back in Needham on our Steve Teague project, also Cassie Gurnan Interiors, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about what I'm standing in is the homework loft. We're going to do a quick update on the interior. We even pulled down that temporary platform, and then we're going to head outside and I'm going to show you guys the Siga MyVest SA500 install and some of the details you want to pay attention to when you are installing that stuff. So like I said, I'm standing in the homework loft, which is basically the connection point from the main house to the primary suite. You can see over here this roof line, you have your overframe. So what I mean by overframe is that you have this existing roof here, or this roof that was framed first in a gable form headed in this direction. And then now that we're tying this roof into it, we need to make that connection point. And rather than tying in the framing kind of in a woven, what we call a valley rafter, we're actually framing on top of the plywood, which is what I mean by an overframe. So you have your 2x10 laid down, and then your rafters are cut tight on top of that. And then when we're all said and done, we'll just have a blank wall here, and this will be a cool little homework loft. So I keep calling it that, but it's essentially this little loft space. You got a window looking out at the backyard, and you have a matching one in the front that looks at that beautiful tree in the front. It was space that was really underutilized, so we turned it into what we call a homework loft. Now, a few of you guys were so kind to point out that we framed this door opening incorrectly. We did not. The door framing is framed for support, and yes, our casing would not work there. But these are the things that we're going to pay attention to as we get into finish. So rather than the door being as wide as possible, we're going to shrink that door down and make sure that we don't clip off that piece of casing. We also don't want that casing super tight to the ceiling. So those are the details that we're going to pay attention to, especially when we get into finish, and we can modify things as necessary. The last thing we want to do is have that clipped casing, especially when you come up the beautiful grand stair from the first floor. As I walk around, most of this you guys saw last episode. What you didn't see is through that wall, we actually took down our temporary platform. So what we're standing in is the future laundry room. And if this laundry room wasn't here, you'd be able to see straight down. One of the questions may come up is, well, that plywood wall, is that temporary? Is it gonna come down? Are you gonna have the view over this 2-story space? We're actually not. No, why don't we go downstairs and I'll show you guys what it looks like on the inside. Now in this, as we pass through, I just want to kind of call attention, we come down that second staircase, talked about the grand stair. This is a back stair. This comes in from the mudroom, goes by the home center, which is going to essentially be, pantry storage or just overall storage. We step into the kitchen, beautiful window looking out at the backyard, and then into the living space. And now you really get the view of this 2-story space. It's really big, it's really tall, it's kind of square. So what is designed is on this wall, we're actually gonna create a false roof line. So essentially, if you picture, it's gonna go up on an angle, and then in between each one of these windows and pressed up against this wall, you're gonna have these big, beautiful trusses that we're gonna fabricate and push up against the ceiling. And then you're gonna have this division of space between the windows that go up, and then on the back side, have this awesome slanted ceiling. Other things that we want to talk about in this living room, we have a gas fireplace here. So this will actually get a brick veneer, so a 1/2-inch reclaimed brick. So basically they're taking bricks and they're sawing the face off and using it in a 1/2-inch formation. And we'll actually do that all the way up because on the outside that chimney goes up through the roof and it's also a masonry. We'll use a full brick on the exterior portion of it. We have some copper chimney caps that we're going to be fabricating as well that are beautifully designed and spec'd by the team over at Teak. So this will give us the view of a full masonry chimney all the way up, but does offer some cost savings because we are doing a gas insert. Now, contrary to that, up in the front, we're going to be doing the same gas fireplace insert, but they offer it to be a wood burning fireplace, and that will be in the front office there, one of the first chimneys that we framed. So the house has been built and framed with 1/2-inch CDX on the entire exterior, and the roof will get a 3/4-inch plywood, or in the swooping sections, it will get 2 layers of 3/8 to allow us to get that swoop. But the walls, we're using a Siga MyVest 500 SA. What is SA? Self-adhered. So this has a sticky back to it. You can actually see if I peel it right here, you can see some of that adhesive pulling out. Now this is installed as our WRB. WRB is a weather resistant barrier. Some people are like, oh, you mean Tyvek? Very similar in the sense of what it does, but a superior product in the sense that it is self-adhered and doesn't require the mechanical fasteners. What is this designed to do? Well, it's designed to help prevent the weather from getting into our sheathing, but also helping create an airtight envelope. Now, a question we oftentimes get is, well, why aren't you using a plywood material that has the WRB mixed in, such as zip? Well, we've used zip before and it's a great product, but for us, we like to build the home as a home, frame it, sheathe it, and then come back and detail all of the WRB in one shot, kind of like wrapping a present. Now, with that being said, I do want to call attention to a really important detail that I learned when I was in Switzerland with them, is that you cannot take this and wrap it around the corner. It's a pretty common detail a lot of people do. Anytime you are on an inside corner or even an outside corner, you're going to want to stop that 500 SA and bridge that with tape. And if we go out front, we might be able to see a section that's already been taped. It's also really important to note that when it's installed, it gets rolled. It is pressure activated. It's very sticky. I've used other self-adhered membranes and I've had it fall or fail over time. And we don't want that happening. That's a big reason why we switched to Siga a little while ago, but here's a perfect example. You have the Wigluv tape. The MyVest stops on both sides. Same thing on the interior. So the guys are doing a really great job by installing it, kind of working it from bottom up, but also making sure that that Wigluv is going to be installed in any of those inside and outside corners. And then the final detail will actually come from this. We'll use the Fentrum tape, which is this gray fleece tape that you see, actually not here. So we actually use the Fentrum tape and we bridge this to our sill beforehand. Kind of a redundant detail, but it was something that Mike was on site, figured take care of it. But we're gonna detail from the MyVest down onto the concrete foundation. That way we have that continuous barrier. We don't let any moisture or air infiltrate underneath the sheathing here, and that gives us that complete airtight envelope. If you guys have an argument against the whole buildings are built too tight, I urge you to watch one of our previous videos. I talk about that. I talk about the importance of building an airtight home and how we deal with some of the concerns that you might have. And finally, you actually see the Risen tape. And this is another tape product that we're using. And the reason that they've installed it here is they want to be protecting the bottom of this plywood and tying it into our concrete below, because this is, as you see, is compacted gravel, and this is going to get a concrete deck and then eventually bluestone pavers. So we want to make sure we have a nice robust protection against the plywood, since the final detail will be pushed up tight against what is considered our sheathing. We want to make sure that we are protecting any moisture from damaging it, and then they'll come down with that Siga MyVest and tie into it, again creating that continuous barrier and protection from the elements to our sheathing. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you guys next week.